Alright, today we have 3 Junlai 630 pens. The ink we'll be using is Diamine Ancient Copper. I happen to like this one. I think it looks nice coming out of the standard 630. The purpose of this video is to just show the difference between 3 different nibs. The first is the standard, let's zoom in a hair, fine nib. Yes, you can get anywhere on the 630. Then we have a custom ground Architect nib and a custom ground Stub nib. Both the Architect nib and the Stub come from a shop on Etsy called Chinese Pen. It is owned by Bobby Pen. They do incredible stuff with these custom nibs. Next, we'll do it in the order in which I purchased them. We have this arching. Take a look at that. The Architect nib is thus named because it has a thick cross line and a thin downstroke. And when you print with it, it looks an awful lot like the block text that some people, they say architects. I have personal experience with just drafting by hand, analog drafting. But it looks like the text block. And there is a sweet spot with this type of nib. And people who use them will often talk about that. You can see the line variance there. And then we have Stub. And most people who use these pens are probably familiar with what a stub nib is and how it works. Thick downstroke, thin cross stroke. Let's get closer on this. This is a 1.1 millimeter stub, which means that this line width should be approximately 1.1 millimeters. No, I'm not going to measure it. I don't care enough to measure it. The visual difference there is more than sufficient for me. I'm not using these for any sort of drawing or technical use. That's outside of my use case. Oh, what do you use your pen for? Note taking. For both business and personal, non-business purposes. I like that they make a mess if you're not careful. If you're not making a mess or you're really having fun, let's take a look at the stub with this. I'm not being too careful with how I write either. Let's do our obligatory pizza party, even though it's not Friday. When you use the architect nib carelessly like this, it almost looks like a broad nib. And you'll have to forgive my handwriting. My hands are old and arthritic. And whatever other excuse I can throw at you for poor handwriting. I would say the stub is my favorite for regular use. I like the line variation. I prefer the architect for printing. At least when I'm printing carefully. And what I'm printing matters to me, which does not happen often. Because, I mean, really, who handwrites anything or has an actual need to handwrite anything anymore these days? It's not like I'm leaving calling cards, sending greeting cards, blah, blah, blah. The world moved on from that years ago. The fine nib writes the quickest across the page, I feel. The stub is the wettest of the three. There is a medium nib and there's also a extra fine nib that are available as, we'll call them default options. What's the word people like to use these days? Oh, bespoke. Bespoke. Yo, that's bespoke. I've heard that word more in the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years than I did in the 40 years prior to that. We used to just call it custom. Not that it matters. Anyway, quick reference. You can see the line difference. Blah, blah, blah. Try these nibs or don't. I'm not the boss of you. I don't tell you what to do. But you'd be well advised if you're in the market. To give them a try. Just take another quick look comparing this to another recent acquisition of mine, this Mahjong P136. A different nib size. But you can see how the tip is just about the same size. These are both supposed to be 1.1 stubs. Let's mess around one more moment here. I would say you can see the difference in the barrel diameter between these two pens. The much wider, the thicker Junlai 630 is much more to my liking than this thinner P136. The P136 reminds me in the hand of a Mont Blanc 146. You can see the line. Let's zoom in on this. Ancient copper is our 630. The green is the Mahjong. And that is that. That is our journey through Pentopia for the day. I should probably say not sponsored. No one watches this, so I don't know who I'm even talking to. But not sponsored. Ugh.